Speaking of mediocre,
The Evil of Frankenstein, eh?
1964 Hammer film.
At least it was in color, though. They
Oh, yeah, it
didn't
had that
invent
going
color
for
by
it.
then. Yeah.
That's about all we can say for this one.
Peter Cushing, not his best work.
He wasn't bad.
Well, I mean, he was. Okay,
was all right.
okay, his work was fine.
Everything else sucked.
Pretty much. It's just not the best Frankenstein movie at all.
Yeah, directed by Freddie Francis, written by Anthony Hinds, and stars Peter Cushing, Peter Woodthorpe, Duncan Lamont, and 1 hour, 24 minutes.
And Kiwi Kingston as the Beast.
The very famous Kiwi Kingston as the monster.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that just sounds funny, but I have no idea what he looks like. I bet he was a comedian.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We didn't look him up.
So, did you like it? There was so much. There was so
I
much
thought
meh to this movie. I didn't care enough to look him up.
I thought this was less than mediocre.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah.
Easily the worst Frankenstein movie we've seen.
Uh-huh.
And some of those later Universals were down there pretty far.
Worst one I've ever seen.
Yeah. Oh, I'll bet there's. I've heard there's worse coming.
Oh, probably, but we haven't seen
Something
them.
to look forward to.
Worst one that I've seen.
Well, we begin with a henchman stealing a nice fresh corpse out of a shed. The dead body's parents returns with a priest and find the body missing. He takes the body to Frankenstein's lab where the good doctor has been busy. Frankenstein cuts out the man's heart as the credits roll. Yeah, and there's a story in the trivia that Peter Cushing was cutting cabbage, making these bone-grinding sounds.
And they thought that was too graphic sounding. So
the censors made them cut it out.
They put music over it. Yeah. You just see his motions as he's cutting the rib cage open and taking the heart out and dissecting the corpse. And,
Well, the priest confronts the henchman, but Frankenstein and Hans have already disposed of the body in acid.
Body? What body?
The priest breaks in and starts trashing the lab, but Frankenstein runs him off. Hans says he'll get the carriage, and the two of them leave town right then. Frankenstein is kind of broke at this point. He's got no money, so he decides to go back to Karlstad, where his original home was. He hopes the visitors have a short memory, since it's only been 10 years since the first film. The plan is to pick up some artwork and treasures from his castle, sell them, and use the money to restart his experiments.
And the castle's just been sitting there empty for 10 years, and he thinks that all these artworks and priceless sculptures and everything are still just going to be there.
Well, he knows he's not dead. He probably just figured they'd lock the door and save it for him, because he's maybe a little entitled.
They practically ravaged the place, razed the place to the ground.
He doesn't know that yet.
Yeah, okay.
Remember, the last he was at the castle was the one where Christopher Lee fell through the skylight into the acid.
Mm-hmm.
The building didn't burn down or nothing in that one.
Yeah, but the peasants were revolting.
They're always revolting. What is it with peasants?
Yeah, I can't believe they wouldn't have stormed the place and looted it completely.
Yeah, well, these peasants are having a carnival, and sure enough, they don't notice the strangers driving through town.
Yeah, a couple more people just blend in.
Yeah.
Well,
we're not there yet.
Yeah.
They arrive at Baron Frankenstein's chateau, and it's clearly been neglected and abandoned. The place has been ransacked, and any treasures that Frankenstein might have had once are long gone.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought?
Pretty much.
Hey, you know that rich guy lives up on the hill? We ran him out of town. He ain't never coming back. He's got no children, no heirs. Nobody's going to come to... Hey, that castle's just sitting up there full of good stuff.
I like that painting that's over the fireplace. I want that. Yeah.
Well, we get a long flashback. Yeah, there we go. A long flashback with no dialogue as the doctor tells Hans what happens that night long ago. It's not exactly the same story from the 1957 movie, but it's close enough.
Pretty close.
Yeah. They refilmed it with a new actor, and it's a little different. Afterwards, the doctor and Hans go to town for dinner, but he doesn't seem concerned that he'll be recognized because it's carnival and they can wear masks.
Mm-hmm.
He recognizes the burgomaster who caused him all that trouble back in the day.
And is wearing his ring.
Yeah.
Thief.
He stands up and calls him a thief.
Very subtle, yeah.
Who's accusing me of being a thief? Oh, it's you.
And then, he starts, stands up and starts yelling, and then everybody starts recognizing him.
Yeah, because, Frankenstein's not real smart. What? Really? Well, they're back on the run. They end up hiding in Zoltan the Hypnotist's tent, and trapped and surrounded, they have to make their escape over the mountain pass where the monster was killed 10 years ago.
And there's one scene where it was so obvious. Where he's Dr. Frankenstein, he's in the carriage, standing in the carriage, whipping the horses on at high speed to get away, plows through
that's
the
later.
peasants.
Yeah, I know.
It is later.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking it was then, but yeah, it's just so obviously a stunt double.
Oh, very much so. Yeah,
it's Frankenstein's stunt double after him.
Well, they follow a strange mute woman into a cave system, and you'll never guess what they find inside.
The monster?
Yep.
Frozen in ice.
Mm-hmm. Frankenstein decides that he needs to restore life to the creature by taking him back to the chateau, the very place he said they could never go again after last night.
Yeah, well.
It's been like 12 hours.
Yeah.
Nobody will be watching that place.
Yeah, they'll forget all about it.
Somehow, the doctor and Hinds get the creature's body back to the castle and repair all the equipment in the lab. They turn on the equipment, and it doesn't work. The creature's brain just doesn't work right anymore.
Yeah, sad.
They decide to contact Zoltan, the hypnotist, to see if he can work on the creature's mind by hypnosis. He's convinced, or maybe intimidated, into trying to wake the creature. He didn't want to have anything to do with it at first. Zoltan places the monster in hypnotic sleep, and when he wakes up, he's very disoriented and, monstery.
Yeah.
Frankenstein thanks Zoltan and says,
Thank you.
Wow. Frankenstein thanks Zoltan and sends him on his way.
Not that easy.
Zoltan, of course, has a better idea. Zoltan tells the doctor that the monster will never obey you.
Yeah, he's hypnotized him to only obey Zoltan.
Mm-hmm. Zoltan demonstrates easily that he has control over the creature. When he's alone, he orders the monster to go to town and steal him some gold. Zoltan next orders the monster to go to town and kill the burgomaster and chief of police. Subtle.
Mm-hmm. Very, very
Well,
subtle.
Frankenstein finds out, and he and Hinds beat Zoltan up. Zoltan turns the monster against them. Frankenstein backs the monster off with fire, and the monster kills Zoltan to escape. Oops.
Yeah.
That plan didn't work
Didn't
out.
go so well for him.
The police nab Frankenstein, but Hinds and the mute girl follow the monster. The doctor managed to escape, stealing a wagon and driving out of town with the villagers in hot pursuit.
That's the one.
And it is kind of a neat scene. He's got like this flat ox cart, and he's standing on it, riding it. It's kind of like a chariot or something. Mm-hmm. It's a kind of a neat scene.
And some of it is him, but then there's the long scene. That's so clearly a stunt double.
There's no way they're not going to let a stunt double do that scene.
Yeah.
Well, they all convene back at the castle, where the monster gets good and drunk and collapses the ceiling, setting the place on fire and burning himself and the doctor to death inside the lab, for real forever this time.
Yep, we'll never see the monster or Frankenstein again.
Ever. Nope, not going to have it.
All done.
Well,
It was kind of a hot mess, though.
It wasn't. I only pointed out a couple of potholes there, but there's a lot.
Yeah.
The monster looks really bad here. Mm-hmm. The makeup and prosthetics are just not very good. He's got like this square block sticking out of the front of his head.
Blockhead.
You ever see anybody hold a Viewmaster up to their face?
Looked very much like that.
He had a tragic accident as a child. Mm-hmm. He got embedded in there. Things were going well until Frankenstein decided to bring in the carnival hypnotist to save the day.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he was just the closest thing to a neurosurgeon they had in Karlstad.
Well, probably was. Yeah.
I got a brain tumor. Oh, let's get the hypnotist.
Yeah. Desperate.
Overall, the flashback was too long, the makeup was too bad, the dialogue was too stupid, the concept of hypnosis was too ridiculous, and overall the film was just too awful to recommend.
Yeah, what he said. It was less than mediocre.
Yeah, I'd give this 3, maybe a 4.
Yeah.
Because it's in color. That's the big selling point on this one.
And that's our show. Stop in during the week to the website, horrorguys.com. Check us out on social media, or tune into the full-length audio podcast.
Yes, everything here, our weekly show is done as a full-length, around an hour audio podcast each week,
where we talk about all the movies. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. That helps us out. Give some likes and subscribes.
Yep. And horrorguys.com has, of course, all our reviews in writing.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to read more, sometimes we'll forget the line here or there. So if you want to read them, check out horrorguys.com.
Yeah.
And I'm Brian.
I'm Kevin.
And we'll see you at the next movie.
See ya.